Mafo, I love you too. I will do anything you wish. So far you make my hair grow. I'm ashamed of my look. Help me. Those were NAYA's last innocent words. A beautiful girl with a bald head. A strange man with eyes like burning coal. A magical hair growth potion. And a secret that almost wiped out an entire village. But what if beauty wasn't a blessing, but a trap? Stay with me, because what happened next will leave you speechless. In the quiet village of Eastern Akora, the trees were always whispering. Their leaves danced in the wind. Their branches moved like they were telling secrets. The village was full of smiling faces, small houses made of clay and straw, and the smell of roasted yams in the evening. But even in this peaceful place, not everything was perfect. There was a girl named NAYA. From the day she was born, people knew she was different. Her skin was soft and smooth, her eyes big and bright, but her head was completely bald. No baby hair, no tiny curls, nothing. Her scalp shone under the sun like polished stone. Her mother cried the first time she saw her. Her father looked away in silence. The midwife only shook her head and said, "She has the mark of the spirits." At first, her parents hoped it was just slow growth. Maybe the hair would come with time. But weeks turned into months, months into years. Still, no hair. Not even the tiniest fuzz. NAYA grew up watching other girls in the village braid their hair, tie beads, and wear colorful scarves. Every market day, the mothers would sit their daughters on wooden stools, oil their scalps, and part their thick black hair with care. NAYA watched from behind the clay walls of her home, eyes full of longing. She dreamed of what it would feel like to have soft hair falling on her shoulders. She even tied threads to her head once, pretending they were braids, but the wind blew them away. The children were cruel. They sang songs that mocked her. No hair, no husband, no hope. She's as smooth as a cooking pot's top. They laughed and pointed. Some even threw pebbles at her when she passed. The pain wasn't just on the outside. It went deep. Deep into her chest where her heart used to be warm. Now it felt cold. Her only comfort was EBEN. EBEN was her childhood friend. A kind boy with short curly hair and quiet eyes. He never laughed at her. Not once. He would sit with her under the mango tree and listen to her dreams. "Maybe one day I'll have long, shiny hair," she would whisper. EBEN would smile softly. "You don't need hair to be beautiful, NAYA. Your heart is stronger than any strand." But his words felt like small pebbles thrown into a wide river of sadness. They rippled but didn't change the flow. NAYA didn't want to be strong. She wanted to be normal. She wanted to feel pretty. She wanted someone to look at her with admiration, not pity. Her parents tried to help. They took her to herbalists. One gave her a paste made of yam leaves and honey. Another told her to sleep with a goat's hair under her pillow. A third one said she had to bathe in moonlight every full moon. Nothing worked. The villagers started calling her the cursed girl. Some said her mother had offended a forest god during pregnancy. Others said NAYA was born to carry the shame of her ancestors. As NAYA turned 16, the stares became sharper. The whispers louder. Her mother avoided markets. Her father walked with his head low. It was like NAYA's bald head had become a mirror reflecting their pain. Still, NAYA kept her chin up. Barely. She wore scarves. She smiled even when it hurt. But deep inside, she cried every night. She cried until her pillow was wet. She cried so much, she stopped making sound. Her tears just rolled down quietly, like tiny rivers running away from pain. Then, everything changed. It was an evening like any other. The sky was painted in orange and red as the sun slipped behind the hills. Birds sang soft songs as they returned to their nests. NAYA was walking by the stream, thinking about nothing in particular, when she saw a stranger walking into the village. He was tall. His skin was darker than the deepest night. His clothes shimmered with strange patterns. And his eyes glowed like burning coal. No one had seen him before. He did not come through the main path. He seemed to appear out of nowhere. He carried a bag made of leopard skin and wore bracelets that made soft jingling sounds. The villagers stared but kept their distance. Something about him felt unnatural. The stranger introduced himself at the village square. "I am Mafo," he said in a deep voice. "A traveler. A healer. A man of great secrets." People murmured. Some were curious. Some were afraid. But Mafo smiled, showing perfect white teeth. "I have wandered through enchanted forests, crossed rivers that speak, and spoken to spirits who sing in dreams," he said. "And I bring gifts." He pulled out tiny bottles filled with colorful liquids. He handed out healing powders. He healed a boy with a swollen leg by whispering to a stone and placing it on the wound. People gasped. Some called him a miracle worker. Others called him dangerous. Naya was watching from behind a tree. When Mafo turned his eyes to her, it felt like lightning passed through her chest. He stared. Deep. Like he was seeing something no one else could see. That night, Mafo came to her house. He bowed low before her parents. "I have heard of your daughter's misfortune," he said politely, "and I bring a solution." Her parents looked at each other. "You know a cure?" her mother asked. Mafo smiled. "I can give her hair. Not just any hair. Hair from the goddesses. Hair that flows like silk, dark as night, and strong as iron." They gasped. "What do you want in return?" her father asked. Mafo looked at Naya. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Her hand in marriage." The room went silent. Naya's heart thumped. Her mother dropped her wooden spoon. Her father stared, unsure. To marry her?" her mother asked again. "Yes," Mafo said. "She will be my queen. And I will give her what no one else has." They called it a miracle. For the first time in her life, someone wanted Naya, not out of pity, but out of choice. A man of power. A man who could make her beautiful. The villagers rejoiced. They danced. They praised the gods. "The cursed girl is blessed," they shouted. But Eben looked worried. He grabbed Naya's hand the night before the wedding. His voice trembled. "Please don't do this," he said. "This man is not what he seems. I've heard stories. Women disappearing." Naya pulled her hand away. Her voice was cold. "You've known me all my life, Eben. But you never truly fought for me. You never promised me anything." "I loved you," he whispered. "Then why am I still bald?" she asked, turning away. "I finally have a chance. Let me take it." The wedding happened the next morning. Drums beat. The villagers wore their finest clothes. Mafo arrived with gifts of gold and strange animals. Naya wore a red scarf over her bald head and smiled for the first time in years. When the ceremony ended, Mafo took her to his home at the edge of the village. That night, he gave her a small bottle filled with golden liquid. "Drink," he said, "and awaken as a queen." Her hands shook as she brought it to her lips. The taste was sweet, too sweet. Then the pain began. Sharp, deep, like fire in her bones. She screamed. She fell. And then, nothing. Darkness. Silence. When she woke up, her scalp was itching. She reached up slowly, and gasped. Hair. Long, thick. Black. Flowing. She ran to the mirror. She touched it again and again. It was real. It was true. She laughed. She cried. Her reflection was no longer her enemy. It was her friend. Within days, her hair reached her waist. Within weeks, it touched the ground. The villagers were stunned. The same people who mocked her now bowed in awe. They brought her gifts. They called her blessed. Men stared with hungry eyes. Women whispered in jealousy. But something was not right. Her hair moved. At night, it slithered. Like snakes crawling. It wrapped around her body while she slept. It hissed when the wind blew. Eben came to visit her. He looked pale. "Naya," he said, "something is wrong." She laughed. "You're just jealous of what I've become." But deep inside, fear had already planted its roots. That night, as the moon rose high, Naya felt something tight around her throat. She opened her eyes. Her own hair was wrapping around her neck. Tightening. Pulling. She screamed. Naya's scream pierced the night. She struggled, kicking and thrashing on the floor, but the long, dark strands wrapped tighter around her throat. Her fingers clawed at the hair as it squeezed like a coiled snake. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Her vision blurred. The edges of the room began to disappear into darkness. Just as she was about to black out, the hair suddenly loosened and fell away, like it had changed its mind. Gasping for air, Naya crawled backwards, her chest heaving. Sweat drenched her nightdress. Her once beautiful hair now lay quietly around her, as if nothing had happened. But the silence was loud. And the room, it no longer felt like hers. She didn't sleep for the rest of the night. By morning, her smile was fake. The villagers gathered at her doorstep, eager to see the girl whose beauty had become the pride of Akora. Naya forced a grin as the women admired her goddess hair, while the men whispered desires they were too afraid to voice aloud. No one noticed the shaking of her hands. No one saw the fear in her eyes. Except EBEN. He stood at the edge of the crowd, eyes fixed on her. His heart was heavy. He knew something had gone terribly wrong, and Naya was in danger, deep danger. That night, Naya sat in front of the mirror again. Her hair had grown longer. It now reached every corner of her room, like thick vines climbing a wall. She brushed it carefully, though her hands trembled. As she brushed, a small drop of blood fell from her scalp. She paused. Another drop. Then another. Her head began to hurt, deep pain, like knives slicing through her skull. She touched her scalp and felt something move. She yanked the brush away, and a piece of her hair came off with it. Beneath it, not skin, not flesh, but roots. Black, pulsing, plant-like roots. She screamed again. Mafo appeared in the doorway. He didn't rush to help her. He didn't show concern. He just stood there, smiling. "You're becoming one of them," he said softly. "One of what?" she screamed. He walked toward her, slowly. "One of the children of the root. The first woman who ever wanted beauty more than breath. The first woman who made a deal with the forest of eyes. You, Naya, you are becoming a bride of the curse." Tears streamed down her face. "You lied to me." Mafo chuckled. "I gave you exactly what you begged the universe for. You wanted long, flowing hair. Hair that people would admire. You never asked what it would cost." Naya sank to the floor, shaking. "Please, take it back." Mafo knelt in front of her, touched her cheek gently. "There is no going back, my dear. You can only go deeper." And with that, he vanished, swallowed by her hair. Yes, swallowed. The next morning, the villagers found something terrifying. The village chief's dog was dead, its body wrapped in thick strands of black hair. Then, the chief's wife disappeared. Her slippers were found near the well. Her headscarf caught in a strange black tangle in the bushes. Whispers turned into panic. "Witchcraft. An evil spirit is among us." Some villagers began packing to flee. Others gathered at the shrine, demanding answers from the gods. But the gods were silent, because the curse had already chosen its home. That night, Naya locked herself in her room. She tied her hair with chains. She stuffed clothes under the door. She cried, prayed, screamed. But at midnight, the chains snapped like thread. The clothes caught fire. The hair slithered out like hungry snakes. It moved toward the village. It found a man sleeping under a tree. He didn't even wake up. By dawn, only his bones remained, clean, white, and strangely polished. The elders called an emergency meeting. Something had to be done. They knocked on Naya's door. She didn't answer. They pushed it open. She was lying in bed, pale, weak, and shivering. Her hair lay still, pretending to sleep. But one old woman touched a single strand, and it sliced her hand open. Blood dropped to the floor. The hair twitched. They ran. Now, the villagers were afraid. They surrounded her house with fire. If she will not leave, one man said, we will burn it all. EBEN pushed through the crowd. No, he shouted. She's not evil. She's cursed. She can still be saved. But no one listened. The torches rose high. The flames danced. And from inside the house, NAYA opened her eyes. Her once brown eyes were now glowing green. She stood slowly and smiled. The villagers thought fire would stop it. They were wrong. When they threw their torches and the flames rose around NAYA's house, they expected screams. They expected the hair to curl up and die. They expected the curse to end. But instead, the fire changed. It didn't burn the house. It didn't catch the wooden walls. Instead, it turned green, a sickly, unnatural green that danced like ghosts in the air. The flames circled the house but didn't consume it. They bowed, like worshippers. And then, the roof exploded. Not with smoke. Not with ash. But with hair. Thick, black, endless hair shot into the sky, twisting and spinning like a living storm. The villagers screamed and ran, but the hair was faster. It flew across the square, slithering through the air like a beast unchained. It reached for their necks, their arms, their legs. One man was pulled into the air, screaming. Another was slammed into a tree. A woman fainted on the spot. Children cried as the sky darkened, not with clouds, but with coils of cursed strands. And from the center of it all, she stepped out. NAYA. But she wasn't the same. Her skin was pale, her eyes glowing green. Her feet didn't touch the ground. The hair floated beneath her, carrying her like a queen on a throne of shadows. Run, she whispered. But no one did. They were frozen. She raised her hand, and the hair obeyed. It coiled tightly around the statue of the village founder and crushed it like clay. I didn't ask for this, she cried. I only wanted to be beautiful. EBEN ran through the smoke and falling ash. He dodged flying strands and pushed through chaos. He didn't care about the danger. He had to find her. NAYA, he shouted. Please, fight it. She turned toward his voice. For a second, just one, he saw the real NAYA again. The girl he knew. The one who laughed at the stream and danced barefoot in the rain. But then the hair hissed. We are many, it whispered through the wind. We are awake. We are starving. NAYA fell to her knees, clutching her head. She screamed, clawing at her scalp. Get out of me. EBEN reached her, grabbed her shoulders. NAYA, listen to me. You're stronger than this. You're not their puppet. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. I'm trying. EBEN. I'm trying. Suddenly, the ground shook. From the burning earth behind them, Mafo rose. His skin cracked like dry bark, his eyes glowing red now. Did you think the curse would end? He said. No. This is only the beginning. EBEN turned to face him, shielding NAYA. You lied to her. You ruined her life. Mafo laughed. She made a choice. All beauty has a price. You cannot beg for magic and refuse the cost. Then Mafo raised his hands, and the sky darkened completely. The ground split. Huge, black roots, thick as tree trunks, broke through the earth. They pulsed like veins. They twisted around houses, crushing walls and pulling roofs underground. People screamed. The village of Akora began to fall. One by one, homes sank into the ground as the roots pulled them into the belly of the earth. Crops died instantly. The river turned black. Birds flew in circles, confused and blind. The land was no longer Akora. It had become something else. Something cursed. But deep in the hills, old Muna prepared. She was old, very old. They called her the last daughter of the earth. She lived in a tiny hut covered in vines, surrounded by talking trees and silent birds. The villagers avoided her. They said she had one foot in the world of the living, and the other in the world of shadows. EBEN had gone to her seeking for help for his dear friend. She held a knife in her hand, the blade of silence, forged long ago from the bones of the first girl who resisted the forest of eyes. It was the only thing that could cut spirit hair. The only thing that could sever the bond between Naya and the ancient curse. But it had one rule. Only the one who loves the cursed can use it. She climbed down from her hut, slow but steady, each step heavy with purpose. By the time she reached the village, smoke choked the air, fires burned green, and screams filled the night. She found EBEN, holding Naya in his arms. He was shielding her from the rising roots, his back bruised, his arm bleeding. But he didn't care. Muna placed the blade in his hand. "Do it now," she said. He stared at the weapon. "Will it kill her?" Muna didn't answer, but her silence said enough. EBEN turned to Naya. Her hair had now spread across the entire village, covering every inch of ground. The roots pulsed beneath them. Mafo stood tall above the wreckage, laughing like thunder. EBEN touched Naya's face. "Naya, I don't want to hurt you," he said softly. She smiled faintly. "You won't. You'll set me free." Tears fell from his eyes. He kissed her forehead. Then, with a shaking hand, he lifted the blade. And cut. Not her, but the center of the root, the heart, just behind her head. A glowing knot where all the hair connected. As the blade touched it, the hair screamed. Not Naya, the hair. A terrible sound, like 1,000 voices crying in pain. The strands turned to dust. The roots cracked and broke. The sky cleared. Mafo screamed, his body crumbling to ash. Then silence. The village was gone. But the curse had lifted. Naya lay unconscious, her scalp bald once more, her body bruised, but alive. EBEN held her hand and wept quietly. The villagers slowly returned from hiding, their faces stunned. Many had lost everything. Some wept. Some prayed. But they were free. At sunrise, Naya woke. She sat beside the river, holding EBEN's hand. Her head bare. Her eyes tired. But her soul, peaceful. "I wanted hair," she said quietly. "And it almost destroyed everything." EBEN smiled faintly. "You're more beautiful now than ever." And this time, she believed him. True beauty is never found in the mirror. It's found in your mind, your heart, and how you treat others. When you chase vanity at all costs, you risk paying with more than you ever imagined. Your soul, your peace, your very life. If this story gripped your heart, gave you chills, or taught you something new, don't scroll past. Drop a comment. Beauty should never cost your soul if you made it to the end. Like this video to support deep African folklore and untold tales. Subscribe and turn on notifications because more haunting, emotional, and powerful stories are coming. Stories that will keep you up at night and teach you lessons you'll never forget. And hey, share this video with a friend who needs to be reminded that beauty is already within them. Until next time, be careful what you wish for.